The VIP Crew with Vivek Wallace and Big P. Percy Crawford.
The VIP Crew.
Few moments that I thought Keith Thurman could possibly have early. I actually think he was hurt by a punch, and it kind of threw whatever game plan and strategy he had out of the window. So I actually thought his legs could benefit him a little bit early, stay away. Fundora typically don't look great against movers, and I think he ran into a flush left hand, and that kind of ended that. So it was all Fundora all night. To be honest, Keith looked horrible to me. I didn't take away any moments. I didn't take away any good feelings about future opportunities. It just was a bad look. He almost looked like someone that was maybe, and I'm thinking it's ring rust and timing, but he almost looked like he had a injury. He couldn't move well. His hips looked tight. It was a bad look for me.
Let me tell you, man, 37 is 37. And what's crazy about it, kudos to Terrence Crawford. Terrence Crawford, same age. I think he might have actually even turned 38, but I know he's in that range. And those two guys could not be on further ends of the spectrum. When you think about the execution, I expected the reach and the work rate to be a problem for him, but I didn't think it would be that bad. I mean, like you said, when we looked at that first exchange, because they filled each other out for a little bit, but when Fundora finally threw that one shot and kind of caught him off balance coming in, I think whatever was in the back of their head for a plan B, like all of that went out the window. I think that was the point when Thurman realized he was probably in for a long night.
And just for comparison, man, you brought up a good point with Bud Crawford. When you look at the guys who excelled in boxing in a later stage of their career, Bernard Hopkins, Floyd Mayweather, Terrence Crawford, they all had one thing in common. They stayed in shape year-round, whether they had a fight scheduled or not. So I think we're looking at a well-oiled machine as opposed to someone who keeps the car in the garage and only pulls it out when it's time to drive it. And that's Thurman. With the inactivity, I think he would be fooling himself if he said he was training year-round and staying in shape. It almost looked like he had a training camp. He had a game plan, and it went out the window quick. And I just think the inactivity, the timing, all the things that comes along with making boxers great, you lose that with these layoffs and just such long stretches of no activity. And it bit him last night. And it could just be 37 and 37 because I just named three anomalies. Hopkins, Mayweather, even Pacquiao and Bud Crawford are anomalies. But I think if you're more active, if you stay in the gym more, it wouldn't have looked so bad. I think these guys command so much from a purse standpoint. Yeah. I know the mantra is I don't want tune-ups, I don't take tune-ups, but it's more or less I don't take tune-up purses anymore. So
yeah, that's
he probably needs that. There was times in the fight last night, V, and like you said, you're not going to face another Fundora from the dimensional standpoint, but I was asking myself, can one time make 47 again? 54 just looked out of his pocket. I don't know. I don't like him. I don't love him at 54, especially at this age.
I don't think, and this is just my thoughts, I could be dead wrong, but I don't think with all that time off, I don't know how comfortable 47 would be for him. He's not a big frame guy, but there's a reason he chose 54. And I think he didn't, we haven't seen him really knock many people out in a long time. We spoke about that previous to the fight. But at 54, he's not going to hurt anyone that way, I don't think.
No.
But at 47, an older guy, a lot of ring rust, hasn't been in there. I don't know what type of power or endurance he'd have boiling himself down to 47. You tell me what you think, but I don't know that he would even make 47 at this point.
Brian Norman Jr., those type guys where you're eye to eye with them, that's more of the range for where I want to see a 37-year-old Keith Thurman at. Because even if you look at the Charlos, I was looking at Charlo next to Errol. Man, those guys are big. These 54 pounds are huge. And I just don't know, even when you look at Boots, how big he gets. And Xander Zaya, those are huge guys. The 5 pounds may hurt him a little bit, but probably not as much as one of these 54-pound fighters is going to hurt him.
What did you think about the post-fight response with him going after the referee for the way the fight unfolded?
So it's twofold for me, V. In one sense, I respect it because I understand the mindset of let us do what the Eric Morales and those guys used to do. We really literally go out on our shield. Well, obviously now, as things evolve, which boxing has, there's safeguards put in place where guys don't get hurt, especially when you, well, not hurt because it's the hurt business, but unwarranted damage. I think these referees are starting to look at it from a standpoint of, if I let this fight continue, does Keith Thurman have a shot to win? And if that answer is no, I'm waiving it. He's already taken enough damage. So I understand both sides of it. I don't personally love it in a post-fight interview where you're saying, I want the fight on, and it was an early stoppage. I get, hey, man, I'm a gladiator. Let me go out this way. But the whole, it was an early stoppage. Did he have one punch in him that was going to change the tide of the fight? I doubt it.
I will say this. When you look at the way he looked at the post-fight conference and you think about the fact that this fight was only stopped in the 6th round.
Yes.
I mean, I don't know how in the hell you fight. You know, to me, in the words of Grand Poobah, my man from the Brand Nubians, theatrics is more like the tactics. I think he was acting a little. It sounds good to come out with the bravado and that kind of stuff, but I didn't feel during the fight, after the 4th round, 5th round, I didn't feel during the fight that he actually wanted to be there. Like you could see him tapering off a little bit. So, excuse me. So to go at the ref the way that he did for stopping it, I mean, for me, that's weak. And I like Keith Thurman. He's a Florida boy, but I thought it was weak.
I know people hate Dying King, but the Dying King kind of format, like it was formatted like a tournament, but it wasn't really called a tournament. So if you have Zayas versus Boots and Virgil versus Fundora, and the winner of those two fight one another, it's not officially a tournament, but it's a hell of an unofficial tournament. And I would love to see us get back to that as boxing.
Well, these guys got to stay in the ring enough, for starters. Yeah. That's the key.
The VIP crew with Vivek Wallace and Big P. Percy Crawford.
The VIP crew.